Good evening. If there's no objection, we are back from executive session. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you. Let's move now to board recognitions.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, members of the board, if you will join me down front, and we'll have Kevin Daniel bring the recognitions.
Good evening, everyone. We have many state champions in the room tonight, and we're going to begin with our swimming and diving state champions. And we're going to start with Pope, because they have quite a few to recognize tonight. We'll start with their individuals and then work up to their championship team. Sarah Sorensen, will you please stand or wave? Sarah Sorensen, so you can see her. Sarah is the state champion in both the 100-yard freestyle and the 100-yard backstroke. She finished the freestyle in 50.85 seconds and the backstroke in 56.05 seconds. Sarah, along with all the other champions from Pope tonight, will be joined up here at the front by her principal of Pope, Tom Flugel, athletic director Josh Matthews, and head coach Zach Shearer. So, Sarah, please come forward with those staff members that I listed to be recognized by the board. Yeah, just stand right here to the side. We'll get right back to you. Oh, going to the Naval Academy. Excellent. Outstanding. Very nice. Good job. Awesome. Very good. Sarah's teammate, Maddie Bragg, is also a double state champion. Maddie, please wave. I know that they're all standing in the back. Maddie won first place in the 200-yard freestyle with a time of 1 minute, 51.03 seconds, and the 100-yard butterfly with a final time of 55.89 seconds. Maddie, please come forward to be recognized by the board and the superintendent. Sarah and Maddie are also a part of the state championship 400-yard freestyle relay team at Pope High School. The other members of the team are Anna Prestel and Julia Keith. Anna and Julia, if you will wave in the back. With a time of 3 minutes, 22.22 seconds, they beat the next team by more than 4 seconds. So we now ask these four ladies to come forward and be recognized by the board and the superintendent.
Team, congratulations.
I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask these ladies to stay at the front because they are part of the Pope High School swim team that won the Class 6A Girls Swimming State Championship. So would all the ladies on the team please come forward to be recognized by the board and the superintendent. Move out the back door this time. Congratulations, ladies from Pope High School. Now we're excited to recognize the Class 7A swimming and diving state champions from Walton High School. The Walton 200-yard freestyle relay team finished in first place with a final of 1 minute, 39.49 seconds. We ask the members of the championship relay team to stand when I call your name. Jasmine Hoffman, Abby Belinsky, Jamie Williams, and Melissa Cox. These ladies, please come forward, joined by your principal, Judy McNeil, Coach Ty Vernon, and Coach Heather Winden. Please come forward to be recognized by the board. Got one more from Walton. This is a picture with the team. Go ahead and get your picture as the relay team. Y'all can stay just a minute. Just stay just a minute. You got one more? Just stay just a minute. We have two individual state champions from Walton as well. Jasmine Hoffman, I think, who just walked back down there. Please come back forward. She swam her way to first place in the girls' 50-yard freestyle with a final time of 23.61 seconds. Great job. You can go with this. Our final state champion from Walton, unfortunately, was not able to be with us, but we do want to recognize her. It's McKenna Buchanan. She is a diver, and she scored 444.65 points. That is 6 points higher than the next opponent. So let's at least congratulate her, even though, unfortunately, she couldn't be with us. Our next state champion is from Kennesaw Mountain High School, and it's Addie Rose Bullock. Addie Rose, please stand. Addie Rose won the Class 7A state championship title for the 100-yard butterfly. She won the same state title last year. Her score this year was 54.50 seconds. Please come forward to be recognized aboard along with your coach, Dave Reason. Very good. Congratulations. Good job. We're also excited to congratulate our boys swimming state champions tonight. I would like to ask Brady Fields to please stand. Brady is from Hillgrove High School, and he is the Class 7A boys swimming state champion for the 50-yard freestyle. His final time was 20.70 seconds. Brady, please come forward along with your principal, Angela Stewart, athletic director, Sherry Thurman, and coach, Mark Rogers. Please come forward to be recognized by the board and the superintendent. We are thrilled to honor returning swimming state champion Ananda Lim from Sprayberry High School. Ananda, please stand. Ananda once again claimed the state title in the Class 6A boys 100-yard freestyle. This year he finished with a score of 45.02 seconds, more than a full second ahead of the second place swimmer. This time, will you please come forward with Principal Joe Sharp and Coach John White. Uh-oh, exactly. Uh-oh. Good job, Ananda. In addition to our swimming and diving state champions, we also have the pleasure of recognizing our wrestling state champions tonight. First, we have Alatoona High School's Will Formato. Will, please stand. Will claimed the state title for wrestling in the Class 6A 145-pound classification. He ended his season undefeated with a perfect 40-0 season. Nicely done. Please come forward along with your principal, John Kelly, and Coach Brandon Westerman. Please come forward to be recognized by the board. Good job. We are excited to be recognizing two wrestling state champions from Hillgrove High School. First, we have Caleb Powell. Caleb, please stand. Caleb is the Class 7A Boys Wrestling State Champion for the 138-pound weight class. He will be joined by Principal Angela Stewart, Athletic Director Sherry Thurman, Coach Sean Zelinska, and Blake Keith is the other coach. Please come forward at this time to be recognized by the board and the superintendent.
Thank you.
Hey, Angela, y'all stay up here. Got one more. Also from Hillgrove, we have Ricardo Atkinson. Ricardo is the Class 7A. He's Class 7A Boys Wrestling State Champion for the 220-pound weight classification. Please come forward this time to be congratulated by the board and the superintendent. March recognizes the importance of the arts through the Youth Art Month, as well as the Music and Theater in Our Schools Month. This celebration emphasizes the value of arts education for all students, and it recognizes the skills developed through the arts experiences, including creativity, collaboration, communication, and critical thinking. Through musicals and theater performances, art shows, and exhibitions, students not only build an appreciation of the art, but they understand the importance of the art in our world. Our district continues to live up to its reputation for its superior achievement in the fine arts and its commitment to arts education. In honor of Youth Art Month and Music and Theater in Our Schools Month, I'd like the following people to stand. Laura LaGualia, she is the Supervisor of Learning Design and Visual Arts, and Dr. Joseph Woodruff, who is the Supervisor for Choral, Music, Theater, and Dance. Unfortunately, our Supervisor for Instrumental Music, Chris Farrell, was not able to make it tonight. But I would like to ask these two individuals, please come forward and be recognized by the board and the superintendent. The week of March the 4th through the 10th marked the celebration of School Social Worker Week. Cobb County School District social workers serve a critically important role in helping students to overcome the academic, social, and emotional challenges that they face each and every day along the road to becoming successful and productive young adults. Our district social workers assist students and parents with obtaining the help and the resources that they need. We would like to ask any social worker in the room to please come forward and be recognized by the board and the superintendent at this time. In addition to celebrating School Social Worker Week, we want to take this opportunity to recognize Jacqueline Frost, so if she'll come back to the front. Jacqueline Frost is our Social Worker of the Year. And finally, tonight, we're delighted to recognize 2 schools for their achieving the Advanced Ed STEM certification. As the internationally recognized mark of quality for STEM schools and programs, the Advanced Ed certification highlights these schools' commitment to STEM education and to preparing students for the future careers in STEM. STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math. First, the board would like to recognize Soap Creek Elementary for achieving the Advanced Ed STEM certification. As I say your name, you can come into the room. I was going to say please stand, but I think some of them may be in the hallway. Principal Doug Doherty, Assistant Principal Sherry Vanneman, Assistant Principal Darkendra Brooks, Special Student Services Administrator Judy Moschetta, District STEM and Innovation Supervisor Dr. Sally Creel, and District Science Department Supervisor Christian Calley. Please come forward. Yeah. Thank you. The other school is Mableton Elementary School, and we recognize them for their staff and students for their latest STEM accomplishments. Please come forward, the STEAM ambassadors. They added the arts in with it. Principal Pamela Kane, Innovation Specialist Alana Davis, and teachers Sean Spolowski, Kristen Alvarez, Alicia Pagan, Moo Cabell, Kristen Kennedy, Christina Lee, Jennifer Tully, and Ashley Brooks. Oh, and also Victoria Broughton. All of you, please come forward to be recognized by the board and the superintendent.
see what the t-shirt is. All right, I like the design. Who designed it? Oh, thank you. I'll trade you a t-shirt for time. All right, looks good.
You can go at the back if you want to. You can certainly go at the back. Perfectly fine. Congratulations. Mr. Chair, that concludes all of our recognitions for this evening.
Chris, I'll have to make him a t-shirt out of it.
Thank you. Let's move on to public comment. Mr. Doyle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a full list of public commenters. We have 15 this evening. How much time can we allot?
15. That'd be two minutes.
Okay. I think what we're going to do is I'm going to call the public commenters, and as I call your name, I'll also call the next person. So please make your way up so that we can get to all the speakers, and we'll try to do it that way.
Oh, here we go.
Also, I want to remind our public commenters, for those of you who have not done this before, keep in mind that the board rules require that speakers maintain appropriate decorum and that comments remain focused and respectful. Speakers who make profane, vulgar, obscene, defamatory, slanderous, or threatening gestures are prohibited, and the same goes for making slanderous or defamatory comments against identifiable employees or mentioning students' names or creating disruptions. So let's start with our first speaker, Mr. Chair. It is Pamela Reardon, who will discuss school policies, and she will be followed by, if you could come forward as well, Jennifer Susko.
Good evening. I am here as a concerned citizen, and just as that. I live close to Walton High School. I have had two, well, my children are older, obviously, but they went to Fulton County schools and to Cobb and went to Walton. I am very, very concerned about the fact that I think the students are being used by certain factions in our society about these protests. And I think that I want to commend Cobb County for saying that they shouldn't walk out, because we as taxpayers are paying for their education. And I think that this could have been organized on after school or during the weekend. And that's all I'm going to say on that. And I support the Cobb County on that decision. I really want to bring up an issue that I hope you are thinking about and have addressed, because as I understand what the problem was on February the 14th in Broward County was not guns, not control, but not the age, but that the fact was that there was a policy in place ever since maybe Obama, maybe 7 years ago, as is coming out in the news now, put into place that they didn't want a lot of kids
30 seconds.
How many?
30 seconds.
Okay. They didn't want a lot of kids going from the school to prison. So apparently this guy that did the shooting, I won't say his name because it's not, I don't want to address him, but he was in the system. He should have been in the system. He wasn't in the system 35, 45 times. That is the breakdown. That is what we should be talking about. And I hope that you don't have that policy in Cobb County.
Our next speaker is Jennifer Susko, who will discuss training, followed by Harsimran Minyas.
I'm here speaking again as a school counselor about the necessity to better address the educational needs of students from diverse backgrounds through culturally responsive teaching training for faculty. As a school counselor, I sometimes receive messages of gratitude from board members for my work. Often at holidays or professional recognition events, I get emails and verbal praise, including the phrase, "Thanks for all you do." While I appreciate the acknowledgement, I would feel more valued if it seemed my school board took seriously unmet student needs I have identified. However, though the response I received when I spoke previously indicates that you all acknowledged my concerns, it was very clear that those concerns were summarily dismissed. True appreciation might result in a more participatory response, like a phone call or an email asking for additional research regarding how the practice many of us are promoting benefits all students. Just like phonics and PLCs, culturally responsive teaching is best practice for all kids. It should not be confused with egalitarianism and instead is an actual pedagogy in which students' unique cultural strengths are identified and nurtured to promote achievement and a sense of well-being about the student's place in the world. With focus currently and appropriately on student safety, we should certainly be concerned whether our kids feel a sense of school belonging. Though it may be uncomfortable to acknowledge that we all have biases that can negatively impact students, providing training to address it is not an admission of failure. Instead, it's the opposite. Tackling our prejudices to increase student performance is a forward-thinking approach, demonstrating our willingness to engage in the most difficult work because it will provide a more equitable, not egalitarian environment. Maya Angelou is quoted as saying, "Do the best you can until you know better.
30
Then,
seconds.
when you know better, do better." I think many educators are doing the best they can. They just don't know enough yet. But some of us do know, this board included, that there are students facing severe mental health consequences of mishandled situations in classrooms involving racism. I ask the district to provide this training, which will help us all know better so that we can do better by our students, who deserve our very best. Please deliver a response within 30 days indicating what actions will be taken to improve our practice in this area and toward ensuring that the mission of one team, one goal truly equals student success. Thanks for all you do.
Our next speaker is Harsimran Minyas, who will discuss robotics build site.
Good evening, Mr. Ragsdale and board members. I'm Simran Minhas, and I'm a senior at Walton High School. I'm the executive director of the Walton Robotics team. Thank you so much for helping our team secure a new build site at Old Mountain View Elementary School this year. Our new build site, which has a full-size field, has allowed us to be ranked 5th out of 86 Georgia teams and qualified us for state championships by helping us win the Chairman's Award, the most prestigious award awarded to a team that exemplifies service in STEM in their community. It has not only enabled our team to build our robot, plan service activities, and collaborate with each other, but it has also helped students in Cobb County. Schools such as Wheeler and Lassiter have used our build site to improve their robot and perform better in competitions. Just yesterday, we hosted a team from Brazil at our build site, helping to establish Cobb County as an international supporter of STEM. However, this summer, our current build site at Mountain View Elementary School will be sold. To continue the STEM program that benefits both our team and other students in Cobb County, we would like to kindly request a new build site. We are very grateful for what you have provided for us, and we hope that you can help us continue our efforts in our community. Thank you.
Joseph Walter Scott is our next speaker. He will discuss safety of students, followed by Caroline Holko.
Good evening, board. I have a concern because I want the safety of all our kids everywhere. I support the kids, but I think as adults, we need to start working with the kids, send them up to support each other all over the world. And that would be a good thing. I have spent my life working with kids from the time of Vietnam, 1969. And I would never stop working with kids. I talk to kids, I hear their problem, I hear their needs. And I would appreciate if some type of way that we can bring kids together and have more meetings for them and togetherness where all the kids all over the world can get along with each other. Thank you.
Caroline Holko will discuss CCSD public response to student action, followed by Myrna Rollins.
Hi, greetings, members of the board. My name is Caroline Holko, and as you see from my indication, I would like to discuss your response to the student-led walkout on March 14th in protest of our incredibly lax national gun safety policies that lead to students being endangered every single day. I've brought along with me a letter from my friend Patricia Fulton, which was quite eloquent, and I believe that everyone deserves to hear it. So I'm going to go ahead and read that to you now. She says, I'm embarrassed for our community. Thousands of schools nationwide participated in this event. Thousands of students were given a voice. Compare that to students being forcibly locked in classrooms and threatened with disciplinary action. What does that say about us? Does it show that we are enlightened? Does it show that we believe in empowering our youth? Or does it show that we believe in suppression and oppression? We can do better as a school, a community, and a society. There is a solution, and it doesn't involve arming our teachers or turning our schools into miniature prisons. We need to fight for common sense gun laws, and we need to reach out to students who are troubled and isolated, which in order to reach out to students who are troubled and isolated, we will have to adequately fund that initiative. It's not too late to make it right. Instead of punishing the students who had the courage to walk out while they were being threatened, coerced, and blackmailed, you can have them write an essay on what it takes to stand up to
30
tyranny
seconds.
and face the consequences. It's probably the essay that will get them into the university of their choice. And as for participating in action on their own time, there is the March for Our Lives on March 24th at the Center for Civil and Human Rights, beginning at 11 a.m. I would love for you to share your thoughts with me on paper. Thank you very much.
Next is Myrna Rollins, who is a representative for the Federation of Public Service Employees, who will be followed by John McDermott.
Good evening, Chair and members of the board. My name is Myrna Rollins, and I am a Cobb County resident and Director of Program and Benefits for the Georgia Federation of Public Service Employees. We are a professional employee organization. Our members are classroom teachers, resource officers, nurses, school administrators, counselors, social workers, and bus operators. We even count elected school board members among our membership. I am here tonight because we recently received inquiries from Cobb County School District employees about joining our organization. Most want to join us because they are looking for an alternative to the adversarial relationships many of the current labor organizations offer. We spend our time and energy on common ground issues, which there are many. Chiefly among those are our students. I am joined today by our Executive Director, Ms. Demetri Bishop. Many of you may know our Legislative Director, Mr. Courtney English, the most recent former board chair of the Atlanta Public School System. Cobb County board policy is very clear, and I quote, "The district will not deny payroll services to an eligible organization. There is no question of our eligibility or that we meet the criteria.
30 seconds.
We are a 501c professional employee association. We completed all the required paperwork only to receive a note back from the payroll director saying, I was told yesterday that CCSD will not be adding any additional professional organizations for payroll deductions. Initially, we were told our request would be processed by Brad Johnson. In any event, we have authorization forms from Cobb County District employees that we'd like to submit. We are asking the board and superintendent to assist us in this process. Thank you very much, and we look forward to hearing back from you all.
Next speaker is John McDermott, who will discuss school safety, followed by Clayton Morgan.
Good evening, board. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you. And I'm honored to and privileged to have helped Coach Sean coach at Hillgrove for the youth wrestling team. And I've also been a youth coach for the last 10 years in Cobb, at Kennesaw Mountain Football, and East Paulding, so Cherokee, Cobb, Paulding. And I try to be a good father figure to these kids because a lot of them don't have fathers in their home. And all politics aside, I just want to, with the tragedy at Parkland, I just want to, I don't want us to deny the obvious, that the trend here that's occurring, being that I was deployed and I coached at the Kennesaw Mountain Mustangs, we focus on trends a lot, and all of these have a common trend that they come from broken homes and fatherless homes. And right now, there's a regulation right now that says only the enrolling parent can pick the child up from school. Well, this breaks families even worse, and it's not helping families out at all. We're spending too much time thinking about, reactive. The whole old saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. We're focusing all this alert point, safety, after the fact stuff. What about before the fact, while these kids are growing up? Then this could have all been prevented. So what I'm asking is that you would allow parents with joint legal custody
30 seconds.
to be allowed to pick up their children, not just the enrolling parent. What I'm asking y'all to please change, not to do away with the old rule, just to add that to it. I think that would help with the fatherless problem, and it would be greatly appreciated.
Next speaker is Clayton Morgan, who will discuss National Walkout of March 14th, followed by Natalie Carlamagno.
Hello, I'm Clayton Morgan. I'm a student at Campbell High School, and I would like to say that yesterday, Cobb schools in this district made national headlines for all of the wrong reasons. This district decided to silence the voice of students who wish to voice their opinions and their concerns about their own personal safety at school. Most student organizers, such as myself, decided to at first go through principals and administration in order to organize a safe, non-disruptive, and respectful demonstration as a part of the national walkout to protest for common sense gun control and to remember the lives of the 17 students and teachers that were tragically killed at the shooting in Florida on the 14th of February, exactly 1 month and 1 day ago. Yesterday, Campbell High School was able to organize within the parameters that the county had given a safe, non-disruptive, and respectful protest, which involved students walking out to the parking lot, forming a circle, and standing in silence before returning to their classes before 10 minutes had passed, which would have caused for harsher punishments. However, we had to do this, and there was a matter of concern among students that punishments would be handed down from our administration and from the county because of our wanting to express our views. Safety was an excuse that was given so that we could not express our views. This excuse was total malarkey. There was a possibility that that protests could be safe, respectful, and non-disruptive. I would request a response from this board in 30 days regarding our issues.
Natalie Carlamagno, and help me on the pronunciation if I'm wrong there, will discuss punishments regarding the walkouts, followed by Divya Vermani.
My name is Natalie Carlomagno, and I'm a sophomore at Walton High School. And tonight, I should be studying for AP Government, but instead I have to be here. Along with my friends, yesterday I hosted the Walton Walkout, which has been the most educational and uplifting experience of my life. Yesterday's demonstration was not in spite of the county or of our administrators. Yesterday's demonstration was not about getting out of class for 17 minutes. What happened yesterday is much bigger than East Cobb. And we do not, as students, we do not understand why some counties have fully supported this act of civil disobedience, while others have tried to silence us. Why do you want to punish us for using the excellent education that you've given us? Why do you want to punish us for using our free speech? Why do you want to punish us for advocating for safe schools? We just want to be safe. Listen to us. We are here and we have voices, and they're just as powerful as yours. As students, we accept the consequences for our actions. However, we urge you to be reasonable. Cobb has already received tremendous negative publicity from the local and national media. We suggest you take this opportunity to change the negative publicity you have received by being reasonable with your consequences so that Cobb County may regain the positive reputation that they have lost throughout this entire endeavor.
30 seconds.
3 days of OSS is much more disruptive than 17 minutes of a walkout. Please be just in your decision and just know that this movement will not be over until something happens. Thank you.
Divya Vermani will discuss students' right to peacefully protest in the school walkout, followed by Connie Jackson.
Good evening. I'm Divya Vermani, and I'm a freshman at Walton High School. I am also one of the organizers for the National School Walkout that was taking place yesterday, where we not only remembered the 17 victims whose lives were stolen, but also calling our lawmakers for nonpartisan, common sense gun laws because we need change and we need it now. I am happy to say that our peaceful protest was very organized, and so I do not understand why we are being punished for exercising our First Amendment right to peacefully protest. I would also like to say that Atlanta is the hub for civil disobedience. Martin Luther King Jr. preached civil disobedience and said that it is key to make change, and that is exactly what we did. I would also like to note that over 2,000 students signed up for our national walkout but did not come because of the threats they received for participating in this event. The rights and events, I do not understand why we are going to be punished for the rights and events that we read about in our social studies textbooks and the rights and events we read about in our social studies classes. So I am here talking on behalf of the 260 plus students at Walton High School and 1 million plus students in the country who participated in the walkout and saying not one more. Thank you.
Connie Jackson will discuss the budget, followed by Corey Davis.
Good evening. Today we got our first look at the 2019 budget, and it wasn't pretty. We do appreciate all the hard work that goes into the budget. I admire our Chief Financial Officer, Brad, very, very much, and we appreciate the hard work of the board, but it wasn't what we were hoping for. We also heard from our very, very esteemed Mr. Adams, very, very esteemed, that we're slipping. We are slipping in the rankings when we start looking at the salaries of our teachers and our administrators. And we're slipping in why teachers want to teach here. Because let's face it, we love intangibles. I love gummy bears too, but they don't make me want to come to work when I can go to Cherokee or Douglas or somewhere like that for more money. We need a raise, and we need it this year. I've been running numbers, and we know that the millage rate has not increased in 10 years. 10 years. Now, everybody's going to get upset and talk about raising taxes. But the reality of it is if we raised the millage rate to the 20 cap, it would be, for an average $200,000 house, it'd
30
be less
seconds.
than $8 a month. $8 a month. $80 a year for the average taxpayer. 80. That's not much to ask for so that our teachers and our bus drivers and our parapros can make a living wage. I don't think $80 a year is that much to ask for so that every employee in this county can have a 2.5% raise, so that bus drivers can have a living wage, so that teachers can finally be competitive with the rest of the metro area. I
Time.
would like this board to think about that. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Corey Davis, who will discuss Chief Diversity Officer, followed by Reverend Sammy Dow.
Good evening. I'm following up on a previous request that I made for the district to hire a Chief Diversity Officer. Many incidents from this year and years prior have resulted in this request. Matters of racism, bias, negative community relations, and ineffectual communication have resulted in the district's need to hire someone else to do this work. Statements and actions from the district are insensitive, not culturally relevant, and are damaging to the one team, one goal mantra. You have a chief academic officer, you have a chief of staff, you have a chief technology officer, and a chief financial officer. My repeated recommendation is that you need to hire a chief diversity officer, and this is why. Number one, this person will evaluate curriculum to be sure it's culturally relevant and responsive. Number two, this person would conduct or organize intercultural competency, anti-bias, and diversity trainings. Three, this person would craft and communicate responses to matters like we've heard about today that are sensitive in nature. And then four, this person would add specific diversity language to the strategic plan so that measurable and attainable goals can be set for improvement district-wide. I have served on the search committee for a chief diversity officer at my place of employment. My education and experience would allow me to help you with that endeavor as well. So I am volunteering to help you all find a chief diversity officer.
30 seconds.
Recent and past events have shown that this position is much needed in this district. So I would like a written response within 30 days to tell me how you plan to implement this goal. Thank you.
Reverend Sammy Dow will discuss support of students' right to peacefully protest.
Good evening. My name is Reverend Sammy Dow. I pastor the Pleasant Grove Missionary Baptist Church, and I serve have served as National Youth Director for the NAACP. Here today to discuss the disappointing and unfounded attempt to block students' right and to across this county to exercise their right and responsibility to peacefully protest. Every major social movement in this country has been led by young people through peaceful protest and demonstration. The board's decisions represent the depth of your inability to relate to the concerns and lived realities of students on a daily basis. However, you must now make a commitment to fostering activism and the pursuit of justice and moral transformation in our county and among our young people. These young people represent the best of our today, not our future. However, our investment in their freedom and their desire to reshape the future of our community is the only path to true education and ultimately to freedom. We want you to represent the children of this county instead of perpetuating tired and antiquated logic and responses. Though the students have asked you for leniency in the punishment, as one of the faith leaders of this community, I am saying to you there should be no punishment for the students who have exercised their rights to peacefully protest. Instead of considering punishments,
30 seconds.
You should be offering apologies that the students were not supported and that they were not given the freedom to exercise their rights. It's the rights guaranteed to them. We teach them to speak up against what is wrong, and then we punish them when they do so. Thank you.
Kara Litwin will discuss punishment for the walkout, and she'll be followed by our final speaker, Hannah Andrus.
Hi, my name is Kara Litwin, and I am a senior at Pope High School. I spend my summers at URJ Camp Coleman, along with friends who attend Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. On February 14th, I was worried whether they were alive and safe. And on March 14th, I walked out of school to ensure no one ever has to feel that worry ever again. I walked out for 17 minutes. 17 minutes compared to the rest of 17 people's lives. Not to mention hundreds and thousands of others who have lost their lives to gun violence. 17 minutes compared to the fear that has since taken over my friends' thoughts and my conscience. Throughout this whole process, we have been and plan to remain peaceful and respectful. In the Cobb County School District, I've been taught to stand up for what I believe in and celebrate civil disobedience. Why are you going back on your words now? And why are you going back on your teachings now? We understand that this is only the first step in our long and difficult process, but we are not deterred. We hope that you will consider leniency when delivering our consequences, but know that we are not deterred. This will not deter us. We are planning to march in Atlanta for the March for Our Lives on March 24th, and we hope that you will understand. Thank you.
And our final speaker, Mr. Chairman, is Hannah Andrus, who will discuss the statement about the walkout.
My name is Hannah Andrus, and I'm a senior at Leicester High School, and I'm one of the coordinators of the National Walkout. I am very angry and very disappointed, and so are thousands of students that walked out across the county yesterday. I value my education in the highest regards, and that is why I walked out of school yesterday for 17 minutes. I needed to advocate for myself, for my classmates, and for the faculty at my school because I am tired of begging for my life. I should not have to walk into school every day with the ominous fear of dying, and now you, the board that implemented policy after policy to improve my education and my future, silenced my voice and told me I did not matter. You are going to suspend me and take away 3 days of my education because you are afraid of my message and my change. 3 valuable days of learning because I chose to exercise my rights as an American citizen and advocate for an end to gun violence and school safety. Shouldn't you be supporting me? Don't you want me to be safe? Don't you want your employees to be safe? Don't you care about my life? Listen to me. I am begging you. The moral passivity that allows one to think that dead children are the price of freedom is what is corroding the soul of the United States, and I am not going anywhere anytime soon. Change is here. Today I should be studying for my AP government exam or editing my AP research paper, but instead I am standing up here advocating for myself because you didn't. A message from my mother, Tammy Andrus, an esteemed advocate for education since the day I was born.
30 seconds.
You had an opportunity to celebrate success of the CCSD mission to create leaders and critical thinkers, our future. The walkout proved that your goals were being met and you had helped educate students who had vision and maturity. And you ended up teaching them a lesson in oppression and intimidation. My life is at stake. I demand a response now. I will see you all at the polls in November. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for our public speakers. And it's next we have items requiring action following executive session. Mr. Ragsdale.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, members of the board, I'm going to ask Mr. John Adams to bring all the items requiring action following executive session. Just a reminder that there will be 4 separate motions for this section. Mr. Adams.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Superintendent, members of the board, it's my pleasure to bring you the first 2 of those 4 items. First of all, the Human Resources Personnel Report for today, March 15th, 2018. The administration recommends the approval of the identified employment actions of those individuals listed on the Personnel Action Report as discussed in executive session. We do have 3 principal level and higher position recommendations. First of all, recommend Henry Gomez for appointment to Director in the SPLOST Department Operations Division, effective March 16th. Recommend that you accept the retirement of Mary Lee Heflin, Principal at Mabry Middle School, effective June 1st. And recommend you accept the retirement of Christy Key, Principal at Lewis Elementary School, also effective June 1st. And this concludes the personnel report.
Have a motion, Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, Mr. Chair, make a recommendation that we accept the superintendent's recommendation as presented.
Mr. Banks, second. All in favor? Any discussion? Mr. Scamhorn?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to wish Miss Mary Lee Heflin well, and there's no way to repay her or to thank her for the many years of dedicated service. She started at the bottom and worked her way up, and she has, over the years, has just been done a fantastic job. And I'd personally like to thank her because she helped me become an administrator and gave me much guidance and advice. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Anybody else? All in favor? Opposed? Carries 7-0.
Thank you. The second item is an announcement regarding the intent to purchase a reversionary interest. The board intends to consider for approval at its next regular meeting the following real estate contract: purchase of a reversionary interest on approximately 9.75 acres at 3448 Sandy Plains Road, Marietta, Georgia, for the sum equivalent to 10% of the purchase price received in the sale of the school site to Fuquay Acquisitions to LLC, but no less than $1.2 million.
Excuse me, I have a motion, Mr. Banks.
I move to accept the superintendent's recommendation.
Second. We have a second. Mr. Chastain, any discussion? Okay, ready to vote. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Mr. Doyle, I believe you have the next two.
There's an additional personnel item, and I believe the board could entertain a motion at this time.
Mr. Scamahorn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Maybe we didn't hear it, but I didn't hear the retirement announcement of the Lewis Elementary School. Did I miss that?
Yes, sir. I did announce Christy Key, principal at Lewis Elementary School, retirement effective June 1, 2018.
Was she, just a point, was she part of your motion, Mr. Sweeney? Okay. I missed that. Is it without objection? Could I make a comment?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I just also want to say with Ms. Key at Lewis Elementary, she is also, like Ms. Mary Lee Heflin, has given many, many years. I hate to say decades because that get me in trouble. But just a stellar, outstanding job at Lewis Elementary, which happens to be just down the road from where I live. And during the one of our snowstorms, she stayed all night. I'm sure others did too, but was there when I walked in trying to get home. She was right there with the rest of them, taking care of the kids and making sure they were being fed and entertained. And if I may be so informal, Christy, you'll be sorely missed in the decades to come. Thank you for allowing me to that addendum, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we're back on the motion for the legal or the contract. Where are we?
Are we ready for the last one?
I'm ready for your motion. Yeah.
Well, as soon as I can get it here. Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve a one-year extension of the superintendent's contract through March 23rd, 2021.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Mr. Sweeney, any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Carry 7-0. Mr. Sweeney, you've got the next one, I believe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In a student matter, I make a recommendation that we uphold the hearing officer's decision and as discussed in executive session.
Okay, do we have a second? Ms. Thayer, any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Carries 7-0. I believe next we have action agenda items, Mr. Ragsdale. We don't have any legal, right? Well, we've got 2 on consent, 1 and 3, right? If there's no objection, 1 and 3 pass. Okay, so now we got 2 and 4 to deal with.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. I'm going to ask Mr. Adams to come and bring agenda item number 2.
Board, as discussed in more detail during our prior meeting, agenda item number 2, recommendation for approval to award a contract for a cooler and freezer replacement at Varner Elementary School. Once again, in accordance with SPLOST 4, Varner is scheduled to receive a cooler and freezer replacement as part of a food service upgrade. We're recommending you award the contract to Triad Construction Company out of College Park, Georgia, in the amount of $325,000 and authorize the superintendent to execute the contract. This is budgeted in SPLOST 4.
Varner is one of my schools, and I would like to make the motion we accept the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a second? Ms. Thayer, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, members of the board, I'm going to ask Ms. Jennifer Lawson to come forward and bring agenda item number 4.
Yes, sir, Mr. Superintendent. We bring you recommendation for approval of the Learning Resource Acquisition for K-12 Social Studies and Science. The Learning Resource Acquisition for the Cobb County School District for 17-18 year addresses the content area of K-12 Science and Social Studies. The procedures followed in the review comply with Cobb County Board Administrative Rule IFAA-R. Instructional Resources Selection and Acquisition. The Review Committee conducted an extensive review of materials from May 2017 through February 2018. Committee members were asked to carefully select instructional resources that would support increased student learning and performance. Resources for K-12 Science and Social Studies were available for system-wide and public review from February 6th through February 16th, 2018, and again from February 26th through March 9th, 2018. The committee methodically evaluated the recommended instructional materials to ensure a strong correlation to the Cobb Teaching and Learning Standards, the Cobb Commitment, and the balanced instructional model. Continued evaluations explored the depth of instructional content practices, application with students, as well as depth of support for differentiation of instructional strategies to meet the varying needs of our learners. Acquisition of the recommended K-12 Science and Social Studies content is essential to providing high-quality instructional resources for all CCSD teachers and students. These materials directly align to our Cobb Commitment, balanced instruction, and standards. The selected resources of K-12 Science and Social Studies establish a foundation for strong learning while emphasizing the needs for students to question, inquire, and apply disciplinary tools and thinking.
Ms. Thayer?
I just wanted, Jennifer, I know we discussed this afternoon pretty extensively, so for, oh, sorry. That's right, I'm ready to discuss. We make a motion to accept the committee's recommendation for these materials.
Second, Mr. Scamahorn. Discussion, Ms. Thayer.
Thank you. I know we talked this afternoon extensively about some of this, but I thought for for tonight's audience, those on television and so forth, if you could hit the high points about the savings, basically, that we've had and the involvement that teachers, parents, and everyone have had in this. So just briefly hit those high points, if you could. Thank you.
Certainly, yes, ma'am.
Just, Lynn, if you've still got the PowerPoint, bring up the slide comparing '07 to current, because
Yeah, that's the one. Thank you.
Slide number 9. We discussed briefly that if we turned back the clock to 2007, what an adoption for science and social studies looked like compared to the year 2018. 2007, we had 107,307 kids, spent a combined $14.7 million for a 6-year contract. That would be the equivalent of about $19 million in current dollars with inflation and growth. The old process typically relied on publishers to tell us what we needed versus us defining for them. Comparing that to the 2018 acquisition, we have almost 5,000 more students. We also have increased AP from 4,974 AP students in 2007 to 8,954 in 2017. This is mentioned because it has a significant budgetary implication, although it is an extreme point of pride for Cobb County and should continue. These books are college texts and are typically 2 to 3 times more expensive than a traditional high school. Nevertheless, we anticipate spending at least $200,000 less than we did in 2007, despite the fact that the publishing industry has seen a 20% price increase since then, as well as we pay per student and are not paying an additional rate for those 5,000 additional students that we currently have. We also noted in the work session today that we've saved over $8 million from the original bids that were submitted to the district from the selected vendors. We also noted in the presentation that we went from a 6-year contract to an 8-year contract, so we will not have to invest this money in the same amount of time that we have in the past. And finally, we negotiated a 36-month payment structure. So we'll be able to obtain these resources for our teachers and students to use immediately, but we'll pay for it in terms that are most advantageous to the district.
Let me ask for clarification because I may have misspoken earlier. Is it 4,000 AP students or courses?
It is actually, the good news to that is it is students, but I think it could be worth also noting there were 4,974 AP students, but students can take between 1 to several AP courses.
Right.
So in 2007, we had almost 5,000 kids that had taken at least one, and a grand total of 8,900 exams that were taken. So it about doubled the number of students. Interestingly enough, at the end of 2017, we had 8,954 students who took at least one, but the total AP exams at the end of 2017 was 18,113. And so for each of those exams, you can correlate a course and the resources being needed. So the district has done an exceptional job at encouraging students to take at least one AP exam, if not multiple.
So I misspoke earlier. I said courses, but the 18,000 is even more impressive, actually.
Right, right. And very briefly on the people who were involved.
It was critical to us from the very beginning in the charge of the superintendent that teacher voice is represented in this process. So there are several phases in this, and teachers, stakeholders, parents, surveys were gone out, call-outs. We had over 1,700 evaluations for one of the subjects, almost 1,300 for the other, that were all teacher-generated so that we could be sure that those resources we were considering were utilized in the classroom where the real work happens, and that teachers actually could provide valuable information about what works and what doesn't. And so these resources absolutely represent the best of the best, and they represent an informed decision by our teachers in the classroom.
Great. Good job. Thank you.
Mr. Banks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Lawson, this motion, this recommendation is for science and social studies. And we're using, I think, $11 million from SPLOST 5.
Part of the negotiation this year was we're maximizing our resources to use what was budgeted for 4 and what's budgeted for 5,
Right.
and these terms have allowed us to bridge the two.
Okay. Now, do we have future replacement of textbooks or learning subjects such as math or whatever, geography, biology, sciences? Is that coming down the road? Is that covered by Splash 5 money?
Yes, sir. We have the next round, like we just completed English Language Arts in 4, and so Science and Social Studies bridged 4 and 5, but we have health, PE, and some other areas that will come along. Math, of course, will be the end because that's what we did before we did ELA, but all of those are itemized out and planned for. Yes, sir.
And so we're doing the same negotiation with these future acquisitions.
Absolutely, and we expect it to just get better and to save more money as we continue to articulate, and the marketplace has changed, and vendors are eager to do business, especially with a district this size.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Also, to your point, Mr. Banks, if you remember back on the slide, the difference between 07 and current, 07 required upfront payment one time. So basically, by the team being able to negotiate those payment terms over 36 months, we're able to go ahead and get the resources now. We would not normally be able to do that because we wouldn't have the full payment required now to get the resources. So it's actually, this negotiation is also allowing us to get resources earlier than we would normally be able to.
Yeah, and we continue that trend that's to our advantage, not only academic-wise, but from an economic standpoint.
Absolutely.
So we actually could wind up saving money in the long run by the end of Splash 5, which would be 2023. It's a long ways out, yeah. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Mr. Sweeney.
Yeah, just a quick question, and I'm not sure if you may have the answer to this. When we talk about like disposal of properties and so forth, like for example, is there any residual value in the textbooks? So we're able to sell those and recapture some dollars.
Yes, sir. We actually have a policy that requires how we dispose of things, and so we have a vendor who comes in and offers an offset so that we do have some money coming back in from the materials that will be retired.
All right, so the net cost overall is actually even less than what we're representing here.
Yes, sir.
Terrific.
Okay, we'll take a vote. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? 7-0, it carries unanimous. This brings us to board member comments, and we'll start with Mr. Sweeney.
Thank you, Mr. Wheeler. Comments are actually very light this evening. And starting with, we have, with our new schedule, we will not have another board meeting until after spring break. So I want to wish everybody a very, very happy spring break as it approaches, and then more importantly, wish students the very best as they actually continue through the balance of the year. Through their assessments that they have, the test, and particularly those students that are moving on towards graduation. Thank you very much.
Ms. Thayer.
Thank you. I want to thank our students, particularly who came and spoke tonight, that they expressed themselves well, and we appreciate their thoughts and do respect their opinions. I know it's been a frustrating week, but I appreciate our parents working with our schools and our students to make this as calm as we possibly could. We appreciate that. I also want to thank our schools. This has been Board Member Appreciation Week. My schools have been very, very kind to me this week, and I appreciate that. But and I probably speak for many board members here, or all of board members, but my community is a delight to work with, and it is with great pride that I represent them and the hard work that they do every day. So I sincerely appreciate that and thank my community for making my job so very easy. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thayer. Mr. Banks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to make it known that the large group performance evaluation, LGPE, is occurring for bands at the concert hall today and tomorrow. Also want to acknowledge East Valley Elementary School for allowing me to come read to their students. And I must have been pretty good because they had invited me to come back in the morning. So I'm going to be reading to another class.
You missed a few.
They thought you needed another lesson.
Or maybe they're going to teach me how to read. Yeah. But I also want to say thank you to all the students that wrote personal letters to me. I think all the board members probably get personal letters from different schools and different grades. I want to say thank you to them, and also thank to the different schools that have invited me either for lunch or dessert or whatever. So it's been a great week, and I appreciate it, and look forward to next month. Enjoy your spring break.
Thank you, Mr. Banks. Mr. Chastain.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would echo some of the remarks of my colleagues so far, but it gives me great pleasure tonight to say that for our evening meal, it was the Kell High School Culinary Arts Department that provided our meal. We had enchiladas, chips, fajitas, different kinds of salsa, black beans, rice, and it's gone. Homemade tortillas. So anyway, and the thing was is we had 12 people from the culinary arts class show up. So I would like to personally, on behalf of the board, thank Chef Meyer, who's the instructor there in the culinary arts, and the following students: Shanice McDonald, Janelle Jones, Benaya Wise, Trinity Brantley, Aaron Rivers, Andrea Espino, Morgan Mixon, Sean Buher, Sylvia Cajorjo, and I'm probably mispronouncing some of these, my apologies, Valeria Sonichton, Austin Martin, and Robert McMullen. It was wonderful and a great example of the fact that we've got students that are learning skills and talents that whether they pursue a career in the restaurant industry or food service, like two of my kids who've learned to work in restaurants, they'll never starve. And happy spring break.
Thank you, Mr. Chastain. Mr. Skimhorn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to repeat a little bit about what I said about our two retirees, Mary Lee Heflin and Christy Key. Mary Lee at Mayberry and Christy at Lewis Elementary. They can't be replaced. Yeah, other good ones will come along, and absolutely, but these two ladies, these two dedicated educators, have given over half their life, or at least half their life, to educating our children here in Cobb County, and they'll be sorely missed, and they're just fantastic people as well as educators, and they love kids. The other thing that I would like to point out is our Skills USA representative, Mr. Bukarski, one of our C&T instructors at North Cobb. If I may read this, if you indulge me. Our student, Patrick Duckett, won the 3D modeling contest for the 2018 Georgia Student Technology Competition last Saturday in Macon for his project entry and presentation. And these folks, Skills USA students, they don't get enough recognition, and they're just going to be the backbone of our workforce someday. So, Patrick, you and Mr. Bukarski, congratulations, and congratulations for having the dedication to go down there and whoop them. So, and then finally, with the security and concern that we all have about our students, security is number one. But let's keep in our hearts that, again, the last couple of months, nationwide, we've lost 4 officers, okay? Here in Cobb County, we lost a firefighter, a very veteran lady firefighter, went on back-to-back runs, if you read the Marietta Daily Journal, and was overcome by the stress and whatever. Keep in mind that when the rest of us are running and trying to survive, they're trying to save us, and they're running to danger. So for the last couple years, we lose about 2 to 4 officers every month. Now just think about it. Next month, we're going to lose another 2 or 4. And the month after, we're going to lose another 2 or 4. And it's unacceptable. And yes, we're fighting to make it better, but it's going to be a long road. And without giving away some things, Mr. Superintendent, I want to commend our own Cobb County School District Police Force. We have an officer assigned to every school. We have the 3rd largest police force in Cobb County. I won't say resource officer because I find that somewhat, condescending. They're certified police officers. They know what they're doing, and they'll take care of business, believe me. So kudos to Chief Story, to all of our police officers, and for keeping us safe. Finally, during yesterday, I want to thank all of our law enforcement agencies throughout, because whether we differ what happened yesterday or not, Cobb County Police Force, Cobb County Sheriff's Office, the 6 city police forces, Marietta, Austell, Kennesaw, Ackworth, who am I leaving out? That's 4. Powder Springs, Smyrna. You may not have seen them, but they were out there, and they were keeping us safe. Again, we may differ, but those people are out there pushing and guarding and helping and responding. And we ought to say thank you to them. You walk up to them, say thank you. And with that, Mr. Chair, I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Scamhorn. Mr. Morgan.
Appreciate that, Mr. Chair. First, I think that was David Banks that said it, my esteemed colleague. I really enjoy reading for Read Across Cobb at Bryan Elementary and also at Compton Elementary. Really thoroughly enjoyed those things. Also, it's I think someone mentioned it was a School Board Appreciation Week. I think it's been mentioned multiple times. I actually had my first handwritten letters from high school students. You know, that's school, Pebblebrook High School. There you go. Yes. So I was reading those takes on a whole nother measure, because you guys know, I think everyone should have a job, whatever the profession, everyone should have a job to serve at least a year where when people want to talk to you, most of the time it's not about something good. Yeah, any job, just 365 days, have a job where 85% of the time, if the phone rings or you get an email, it's not somebody telling you something you want that they're happy. So, but nevertheless, we serve because we care and we love what we do. And Saturday, I don't know how many of you up here, I know Chris does, I know David Chastain does, have daughters. But this Saturday, man, I'm going to my first father-daughter dance. So I'm really looking forward to that. Chastain, I'm not you, bro. I'm not you, Chastain. I'm not you. Right. But I'm really looking forward to that, and that concludes my comments, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Mr. Ragsdale.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. This is just, it's really getting to be a trend that I genuinely want to see broken again. We've had some people pass away. One was a student, Jimmy Ramirez, a student at Osborne High School. He passed away, and as many of you know, I gave a shout out to Josh Muriel, the principal at Osborne, who gave this student a fighting chance. He performed CPR until EMTs got on the scene, and unfortunately, the student passed away. So certainly, our thoughts and prayers are with his family. We also lost a team member, Vicky Shue, school bus driver, passed away on Tuesday, the 13th, and thoughts and prayers go out to her family as well. We did receive word from the Georgia DOE that we had 4 schools recognized as high progress reward school, and this is based on 2014-16 school year's data. So obviously, we're using data to make decisions. I want to give a shout out to these 4 schools: Ackworth Elementary, Hendricks Elementary, East Cobb Middle, and Tapp Middle School. And these schools are recognized for being among the highest 10% of Title I schools in the state. So that's certainly a tremendous honor for these 4 schools, and a great point of pride for our district as a whole. I, too, was asked to read, and I enjoyed reading to the kindergarten students, or kindergarten class, not all the students, kindergarten class at Steele Elementary. I have just about memorized Green Eggs and Ham.
Me too, bro.
You know, it's an awesome book. Love reading that book. And it's just an awesome thing to get back in the schools and get in front of kids. And it reminds us every day of, why we do what we do and why it's so vitally important of what we do. I do want to announce we've got 2 job fairs coming up. So anybody that wants to work in the best place to teach, lead, and learn, also known as the best school district in the nation, that would be the Cobb County School District. Those job fairs will be, I think they're announced on our webpage, right, John? Yes. Okay. And then I also want to give a shout out to the Walton Robotics team that came and spoke in public comment. If y'all remember, they came, I don't know, a few months, maybe a year ago now, with that request about they did not have a proper facility to have a practice session set up. And you heard the young lady talking about how having that facility has made a difference in their awards that they've received. Receiving the chairman's award is a great, great accomplishment for a robotics team. It's kind of the, the Stanley Cup of robotics. So, now, I was telling Mr. Morgan after she got through talking that it's like, it was awesome up until the last point where we said, and now you're selling our building. So we will be working to find them another building so that they can continue on with that success. You've already mentioned spring break. I will add to the well wishes for spring break safety. It seems that every time spring break comes around, the articles come out about, it seems, the ever-increasing level of craziness. So we want to wish all of our employees a safe spring break, as well as all of our students as well, to be safe and get the rest for that final push to the end of the year. And finally, Board Appreciation Week. I appreciate your action tonight to give me another year on my contract. And I appreciate the fact that it was not pink. So that's always a good thing. But in all seriousness, I appreciate, again, like I said this afternoon, appreciate the relationship that we have because, again, I think that it starts here. And if we don't have a good relationship, a good working relationship, then it just flows down to 15,000 employees. And either it's going to flow good or it's going to flow bad. So I appreciate the relationship that we have, and I appreciate all that you guys sacrifice to be board members. I just want to end tonight on a sincere thank you because you're vital members of our team. And again, our team starts right here. And I think we've seen throughout the years, hopefully there'll be many more to come, and that, it does matter how the morale is with our employees. We can see that. And I know Ms. Jackson talked about raise, and we certainly want to do everything we can for our employees as we can afford to. But certainly we are very proud of the fact that our employees recognize that it is a total package. It's not just about the money. but money talks. So we do want to maintain our competitiveness to be able to retain the great talent that we have. And again, I just want to thank the board for our relationship. And again, I appreciate what you do. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Ragsdale. Concluding, I'd like to make some comments. First is the pleasure to attend the Black History program at Loving Good Middle School. The principal there, Mr. Bailey, did a great job organizing that and putting that together. It's to be commended. Second, like some of my other colleagues here, had the honor to read at Still Elementary and at Varner. Saw Mr. Ragsdale as he was slipping in, and Mr. Adams at Varner. And Principals Pierce and Singletary have got great ships going down there. The kids were great in both schools. It was really a pleasure. It's an honor to do that. One of the best things about being on the board. And in conclusion, School Board Appreciation Week, I appreciate the gifts and little meals and things like that the post-7 schools have done for me. So with that, if there's no objection, we're Ms. Thayer. We're not adjourned.
I do want to add something, and I'll make it short, but we were talking about reading in schools, and when I went into LaBelle, I was reading it in a kindergarten classroom at Green Eggs and Ham and dreading it. But a kindergarten student raised her hand and said, I can read it. She just sashayed right up there beside me and started reading. She read the whole book. Of course, I had 20 pages clipped together right in the center that I was skipping right over. And she came to it, and I said, those pages are stuck. Let's just go on. But anyway,
I'm supposed to skip pages?
That thing is long.
It's the abridged version.
That's right. But anyway, a kindergarten student read the whole book
on school board
to the classroom. Now, at this point in the year, I thought that was really, really amazing for our students. So,
This is kindergarten.
this is kindergarten. Yeah, really good.
Contract.
Yeah. But anyway, I was amazed at what's happening in our classroom. So, congratulations to all of our good teachers. Thank you.
You're welcome. If there's no objection, we are adjourned.
There you go.